Hey, everybody. Welcome to Northern Arizona Witches Podcast, episode 4. Today we are talking to Lavender Moon, who is a local psychic. Lavender, we are so excited to have you with us. How are you today?
I am really excited to be here. This is an amazing opportunity. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for coming on. It's been really exciting to start a podcast, and really a lot of learning has happened. But I so appreciate you volunteering to do an interview with me.
I'm not so sure I have volunteered as much as I was voluntold by my spirit guides to do it.
Well, they push us a lot, don't they?
They sure do.
Usually into doing things that make us a little bit scared, but that's good challenges. So do
Absolutely.
you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and you live in Northern Arizona, and just a little background?
Okay, so yeah, I've lived in Prescott Valley for about 10 years now. Before that, I lived in Illinois, and my husband dragged me here. But I kind of grew up sort of a normal kid. I don't feel like I had gifts at all. I just remember being told that I was wise beyond my years, and I would say things a lot, and my mom would tell me to stop talking like that because I don't know those things. And she'd always say I had a bad attitude, and I just was perplexed by that because I thought, well, I don't know, these things just come in my head and I just say it. And now I think it's definitely like claircognizance, like I knew something that I shouldn't have been able to know. Um, a lot of people who are psychics say, "Oh, I saw ghosts growing up," and I can't say that I did, but I'll tell you what. About a month ago, I had an epiphany. I think I did because I see them in my third eye, but I didn't realize that that was a thing. I thought that you just saw them with your physical eyes, and I know now that I do see ghosts with my third eye. And so I have probably been seeing ghosts my whole life and didn't realize it. So that was
What
pretty
does
cool.
that look like for you when you see a ghost with your third eye? A lot of times when we're visualizing or we see things or we're doing meditations, we tend to kind of discredit ourselves. What led you to the point of being like, you know what, this is me seeing it in my third eye? Can you describe that for us?
So yeah, it's like when you visualize, for instance, if you're reading a book and you visualize what's happening in the book and they describe the person, that's what it is. It's like seeing a person in your mind, like, and you see everything. And a lot of times, of course, at first I thought, well, that's just my imagination. There is no way that I'm really seeing a ghost. And the first time that I had what I was seeing validated was just amazing for me. We have a resident ghost in our house. She is such a sweet little girl, and she has a blonde bob, and she wears a white lacy dress. And my husband was the first one who saw her and interacted with her. And when I told, like, he never said what she looked like. I just told him what I saw, and he said, "Yep, that's her," just matter of factly. And I'm like, okay, I can see ghosts with my third eye. And I'll go back to a story when I was a kid. We lived in Chicago, and we used to drive from the north side where I lived down to the south side to my aunt and uncle's on Halloween to trick or treat, and then we would drive over to my cousins who lived in a suburb, and we'd have to drive along Archer Avenue, which is where Resurrection Cemetery is. And if anyone knows about the urban myth of Resurrection Mary, that's the cemetery that she hitchhikes in front of. And so we're driving along Archer Avenue to go to my cousin's house, and my parents are telling us the story about Resurrection Mary. And I am so excited. I've always loved scary stories and everything. So I'm so excited. I want to see this ghost. I want to see this woman hitchhiking. And I'm envisioning this woman in white. Oh my gosh, I'm getting goosebumps as I tell you this. I'm envisioning this woman in white standing on the side of the road. And it wasn't until, like I said, about a month ago that I realized I probably actually did see her, just not with my physical eyes.
That is so validating. One, when you have your husband seeing the same thing and you come together and you're like, oh my gosh, we both saw or felt it at the same time.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just feel that it's like a childlike energy or a mother energy or something, dark, but to have that validating. I think for me, in the few experiences I've had where it's my mind's been blown, it's been that I actually thought I saw a real person and then it was gone. Then it was
Mhm.
poof. And that's where it was like, "Did you see that?" And then the other person was like, "No, I didn't." And you're like, "Whoa, what?" One of them was on, Yarnell Hill. We were
Mm.
we were doing the switchback, and we turned a switchback, and I saw a man in, like, the '90s kind of windbreaker outfits that were matchy-matchy,
Mhm.
standing at the edge of the mountain, and I thought, "Wow, he's really close to that edge." And then we took the turn and then came back, and I saw the ledge again, and he was gone. And that I was like, "That was a real person." It was so solid.
That's really cool.
Insane things like that have happened to me, but I don't, uh, know about my psychic gifts as much as I wish I did. So what was your journey into discovering those?
So, being fascinated with scary stories and ghost stories, I started doing ghost tours and paranormal tours. And I had a friend that we would do all these events with. And so there's one event we did. And along with being a tour, kind of a haunted location, they had mediums there doing a seance. And during this seance, they had this like little tiny tabletop gazebo on the table with wind chimes because they thought this little girl spirit would like to move the wind chimes. So I am intently staring at these wind chimes, wanting proof that spirit will move things, wanting to see this, wanting to hear it, like all this. And then all of a sudden in my mind, I hear, "We don't want to move your damn bell." And I'm like, well, where did that come from? Because I sure as heck didn't say that. And I talked to the mediums afterwards and said what I heard, and they were like, "Yeah, there's this guy here. He's really kind of mean and cranky, and he would have definitely said something like that." So that was the first
That's
time that I
amazing.
realized that I had anything. And then after we moved here, um, I took a class at Yavapai College about paranormal and ghost hunting and all that, and just to make friends and do things I enjoy doing in that. And one of the exercises we did was psychometry exercise. And so she passed around objects and pictures, and I got these pictures. And immediately, when I looked at the pictures, like one was a woman in a 1960s era dressed and everything. And the thought that came to me was that she was a nurse. And then there was another picture of a guy. He just had a button up shirt on. He had a acoustic guitar he was playing. And they told me it was a doctor. And I was like, okay, this is weird. So after we were all done and the teacher was asking us what our impressions we got, I asked if either one of them were in the pictures were in the healthcare field. And she said, well, yeah, they both were. So then I said, okay, was the woman a nurse and the man a doctor? She said, yes. And they were her grandparents. They started a hospital in Colorado, I believe. But that was like the first time that I was really like, oh my gosh, I have something here.
That's insane. That is so cool because it's like a thought that pops into your brain that you didn't get from any apparent source, but the information is just there, kind of like people refer to it as a download.
Yeah, exactly. It's like thoughts in my head. And I guess I didn't realize that it was a psychic ability because oh, that's my imagination. Oh, that's just what I'm coming up with. And these are two very specific examples of things that I wouldn't think or wouldn't know to think. And I was in my 30s when I realized that all this was a thing, that I was psychic. So there's hope out there if you are really fascinated by psychic abilities that you can tap into them and like develop them.
That's that's awesome. I think a lot of people that I have spoken to about developing psychic abilities uh, are looking for that validation that it doesn't have to be something that you are fully aware and in control of from the beginning of your life. That it is something that you can just decide. It's always been there. Let me try to work on it, no matter what age you are.
Yeah. And I always thought it would be really cool to be psychic. I thought it'd be awesome, but I never really thought that I was.
That's, I think, a a big case that we all have is constantly discrediting and kind of undermining our own knowing with that.
Mhm.
And it takes a bit of work to work on healing that part of ourselves to allow those gifts to come through.
So after that big realization, I just kept taking a lot of classes. I was really intent on learning spirit communication, because by that point I had lost my brother, my dad, my stepdad, my mom, and of course grandparents earlier on. And I really wanted to communicate with them. And after my mother passed away, my sister and I saw a medium, and she gave us such comfort. And I was like, oh, if I could just do that for people, that would be so amazing. So um, there's, this thing, all psychic, let's see, all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. So I thought, well, okay, I have psychic gifts, but am I a medium? And in developing my skills and everything, I have learned that I am also a medium. I can talk to loved ones, I can get messages from them, and I can also see past lives, which is something else that I've learned. So this is really kind of a wonderful, exciting time in my life that I've experienced all this, and now I'm professionally giving readings for others, and this is really cool. And another one of my passions right now is helping others realize that they too have gifts. And I have a small group that I started with a friend of mine, um, and hoping it will grow into something amazing.
That's awesome. That is so enriching to be able to work with the community that way as well. So to circle back for our listeners, can you describe the difference between a psychic and a medium?
So a psychic can read the energy of people that are sitting in front of them, so of the living, and a medium picks up messages from people who have crossed over who are in spirit.
Okay. So that's the big defining difference is that mediums can like reach across the veil and really
Right.
call. Okay. So what's the group that you've started? Do you want to plug that?
We can. Right now it's a small group. It's a lot of us who are vendors at the Healing Arts Fair, Earth and Herbs Arizona in downtown Prescott. Because we try to open it up for laid people. I call it laid people, people who aren't already tapped into their gifts, and no one showed up. So we started inviting all of our fellow vendors at the Healing Arts fairs, and so we've got a nice group of us together, and we're planning different things. But I'm hopeful that we'll get more people who haven't tapped into their gifts yet, so that we can help them discover them. That's my main goal of why I started the group. Um, but we meet monthly, and it's really awesome to get together and just hang out and kind of see what goals everybody has and where they want to be, and with their gifts and their in their lives.
That is awesome. I think connecting like that and learning from each other is so important on so many different levels, whether you're developing your psychic gifts or journeying into witchcraft or discovering your spirituality. I think having someone else to talk with about it is so important. And I think it's hard because I think a lot of times we're so isolated in these practices, and the more alone you feel, the kind of the less energy you put into it sometimes.
I feel like that's very true. I know I started my journey into witchcraft kind of early in life. I was a teenager, um, and one of my friends was really into it. And when the movie The Craft came out back in the '90s, that was like, oh my gosh, if I could do that and like make things happen in my life. Like, I knew I couldn't turn my hair blonde just by rubbing my hands over my head, but just to make changes in my life, that would be so cool. So after we watched the movie, I was so inspired. And so my friend was like, yeah, and we go to the library and we look at books, and she had To Ride a Broomstick. I think that's the title by Ravenwolf. And I read that and I was so fascinated. So I got my own books, and, then I went to college and started a career and lived life and put it on hold for a while, and then, again, after moving to Arizona, found a Wiccan learning group, which is no longer in existence, but learned a lot more and learned that I could connect with my spirit guides, that, I could control things, like, I could feel energy. I didn't even know I could feel energy in my body, and now I know I can feel it, so that's really cool.
That is so cool, and I it's funny because I am a huge fan of The Craft and, of course, Practical Magic and Hocus Pocus, but The
Mhm.
Craft is one that I pretty obsessively watched, and changing your hair color is, like that's the one that really gets you, but I think it was that and, like, trying to change the weather that was, like, a huge motivator for me as a young preteen, but, To Ride a Silver Broomstick was one of my first books as well. So that's pretty interesting. I love that.
Cool. Yeah, and then over time and just developing my gifts and realizing, because I grew up Christian like most of us do in this country, and realized that that religion didn't resonate with me at all. And again, with Wicca, like all the ritual, it doesn't always necessarily resonate with me. I just take what works and do it. So, like, I'll manifest on a new moon and light candles and that kind of thing. I just am not big into religion, but I do kind of like resonate a bit of being a witch, just because I do believe everything that witchcraft teaches or that Wicca teaches. Um, but I just don't get into the ritual as much.
I feel you on that one, and I also think which it, can be a loose term that we kinda use to define, um, rediscovering our own power, and
Mhm.
how we practice that can look very different, and I'm not really into the big ritual or having a lot of rules with anything. So a lot of times, it's like, oh, it's the new moon or it's the full moon. I'm gonna put some water out, but that's kind of extra for me.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the only
So
thing I do is manifest on the new moon. Everything else just kinda goes to the wayside.
yeah, the we all can tend to be a little bit a lazy witch. I see a lot of like hashtag lazy witch on Instagram, and that's how I do it. Is it has to be pretty easy and accessible for me.
I completely
So
understand that.
you talked about how your gifts looked in the beginning and how you would just get these downloads of information that would surprise you. It makes me want to ask how your gifts look to you now that you've developed them.
So now, I definitely don't question it as much. Um, it's still the same. I still get, like, I'll call them thoughts for lack of a better word, really. I still get the thoughts in my head, and I know that they're not necessarily mine. Um, but I feel like they're from my spirit guides, because now I've connected with my spirit guides, and um, there is one in particular. When he's around, I will have tingles all across my eyes and my cheekbones, and like my third eye would all tingle. And that's something that kind of started as I was developing my gifts. I didn't really feel them. I would just see them, or they would it would be through meditation that I would see them and talk to them. And now I don't have to like really meditate so deeply. I can just relax and okay, ask, okay, guides, do you have any messages for me? And then immediately, even when I'm doing my breath work, I'll feel the tingles and I'll know that they're there. Um, and I see things in my third eye. Like when I'm doing readings for people, I will tell them things that I use tarot as my tool for keeping the conversation going, basically. And the cards don't necessarily say, "Oh, you're seeking medical advice from different doctors. You're getting second opinions." Like, but I'll tell the person that, and they'll say, "Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going through." So they give me information as I'm looking at the cards and just picking up the energy from the person, or tapping into their loved ones or whatever. So it's still kinda like movies in my mind and, like, audio reels in my mind, kind of like, but it feels like it's my thoughts.
I find this all very validating and reassuring and like and motivating because I find myself going like, how many times have I had this random thought and then I've dismissed it or ignored it and now it makes me want to pay more attention and listen more. Are you getting I feel this happens to me a lot when I'm out in public and I'm at the grocery store and it's busy, and I will pass someone and get this feeling of like, "Oh, that person is worried." Like, that person is really worried about something. Do you pick up energy like that often?
Not necessarily. I really have to set the attention and tune in. I'm not wide open all the time. And that I think was the hardest part for me in developing my gifts was being able to open up because I don't. I do, however, not like being in crowded places. So like anybody who lives in the Prescott area will probably also feel this. The Walmart in Prescott Valley, I will not go in there because the energy just is so oppressive. And I walk in and just immediately think, I have to get out of here. And I just don't like it there. And I've talked to several
I
people
don't
who have the
know
same thought.
I don't know what it is about that particular Walmart, and I lived in Prescott Valley at certain points, and I lived there just before that Walmart opened up, and I was so excited that it was closer, and then when I started shopping there, I was like, "This place is not it's not good juju. I don't know what it is. I don't like it." I
Yeah, I
find
don't either.
myself driving to the one on the hill.
That's the one I go to too. And I make my husband drive us there all the time because that's the one I like.
Do you get the eye roll? Because I'm just like, I don't wanna do Prescott Valley Walmart, and I'm so adamant about it, and then I get the, "Yes, dear," eye roll.
You know, because my husband is also tapped in, um, he just is accepting and understanding, and he knows that that's the Walmart I go to. So if he goes by himself, he goes to Prescott Valley Walmart, it doesn't bother him. But he knows if he takes me, we have to go to the one on the hill.
I love that, I love that. So, you were describing it like your default settings in the beginning were being was being closed off, and you've had to work
Uh-huh.
to open it up, and now you have the
Mhm.
ability to kind of just open when you want to, but you kind of default back to that closed off space. Do you have advice for anyone who is the opposite, or they're just like wide open all the time and getting way too much information?
I would say try setting boundaries. Say, okay, I'm only going to be open during these times. Um, that's what I've heard because I've not experienced it myself. So that like I've heard just setting boundaries, saying, okay, I'm only going to be open for business, quote unquote, during 4 and 6 or whatever, and just telling them that's it. That's what I've heard. So I hope that would work. And there are a lot of books out there that give you lots of advice, and I've read several of them. So, Sherry Dillard is one author that I do enjoy reading about psychic abilities. She has great books, and they're really easy to go through and read. Um, trying to think who else.
Do you put up walls or close doors or do any kind of visualizations like that?
I put up an energetic shield, and I set the intention that only energies of love, light, and truth are allowed in, and anything negative bounces off and returns to sender. So that I do, but that's it. But I kind of feel like I have a day job, and so apparently it's haunted. When I go in there, I don't look for it because I'm there to do a job, and so that's what I focus on. But, everyone there knows that I'm a psychic and I'm a medium, and the manager said one day, "Hey, have you seen so and so and so and so?" He's talking about all the ghosts that are there, and I said, "No, I'm actually not even focused on any of that when I'm here." So I, um, I have to have the moment to sit and think about it and say, "Okay, I'm able to sit here and communicate with you. Let's do it." But that doesn't happen very often because I'm part time, so I'm not there very often, like of a long time.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to interrupt here for a second for an exciting announcement. Witch Market AZ has announced its spring equinox magical market. That is on March 14th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Grace Sparks Activity Center. That is part of the Indigenous Peoples Museum complex. It's the auditorium that they have on site. The address for that is 824 East Gurley Street, Prescott, Arizona. It is so exciting to be indoors this time because we have been subject to windstorms and snowstorms in the past, so we are very grateful to be inside. That is 40 plus magical vendors. That's tarot readers, psychics, artists of all kinds. We're looking at herbs, crystals, witchy supplies, anything you can think of witchy, we have got it there. So please come on down and support local magical makers and immerse yourself in the community. If you're interested in being a vendor, please email me at witchmarketaz@gmail.com. That is the only place we conduct market business. Due to the insane amount of scammers on Facebook and Instagram, that is the only place we will talk to you about being a vendor. So again, that is witchmarketaz@gmail.com. The Spring Equinox Magical Market, March 14th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Grace Sparks Activity Center, which is 824 East Gurley Street, Prescott, Arizona. Back to the podcast. Um, so you are big into paranormal and ghost hunting. Do you have any particular local areas or local stories that you'd like to tell?
Yeah, I mean, I love to roam. Um, so we took our family there a couple of years ago, just to hang out because it's been a while since we've been, and our kids hadn't been there, and so we went and we ate at the Haunted Hamburger. And while we were there, my daughter felt something brush against the back of her, and we were looking around. There was no one around, and my husband and I knew it was a haunted location, so it didn't surprise us at all. But she's like, "Oh my gosh, I just felt something!" And my kids are also open, so my daughter sees spirits and talks to them too as well. Um, but I can't really say like there was a group that I was a part of for a short time here, and we did do an investigation at the Tiz Art Gallery on the square. Um, and there I did see in my third eye again a spirit of a old cowboy. And then the little girl who's the ghost in our house came with me as well that day, so I saw her there. But as far as oh, and then we did go to the Oddfellow Cemetery once. That was a fun experience. My friend was drawn to this one particular headstone, and I don't even remember the name of the girl's headstone, but when she looked up the name, it was the girl who had been missing for a while, and I don't remember all the particulars of the story, but I think she ended up they found her dead or something, I don't know, because obviously she had a headstone, um, but yeah, so that was pretty odd interesting. I After this group no longer did anything else, I haven't done anything else, other experiences. We were in the past. Oh, this is a good one. I'm sorry, it's all coming back to me now.
No, you're fine. Yeah, we want to hear him.
Um, we were at the palace in the basement, and back in the day, it used to be an opium den. And so there was this one area, and one lady who already knew that she was already tapped into her gifts walked in and said, "Oh, someone was really ill here," and she walked away. So I walked in there just trying to check things out, and I became very nauseated, very hot and clammy. I had to get out of that room, and as soon as I did, I felt so much better. And that was the first time that I realized I was really kind of clairsentient, and I could pick up on what spirits feel as well. Um, that was a really cool investigation that we did. That was really cool, and I don't even remember any of the evidence that we've gotten there. 'Cause I take my video or my voice recorder with me everywhere and try to get, EVPs, and then listening to them later on has been a challenge.
I feel that because I think I really enjoy trying to communicate and catch evidence, but later, unless it's like in my face and I can scroll to the picture, I get kind of, I'll check it out at some other point in time.
My my daughter's really starting to get into paranormal investigation. She's only 11, but she's watching these videos on YouTube and these silly kids that are doing it, and I won't even go into that. But, one day she's like, "Mom, hey, can we record ghosts or whatever?" So I got my video record or my, audio voice recorder out, and we did pick up the voice of a little girl who said, "I don't wanna be seen." It was, like, the best EVP I've ever gotten. It was really cool.
That's incredible. And it does make me have questions on your opinion as an avid paranormal enthusiast. Uh, I've seen the YouTube creators that are very much into the ghost hunting now, and even some of the mainstream shows, I've noticed that they've taken on this, aggressive stance towards trying to get evidence and trying to rile spirits. What is your opinion of that tactic?
I think it's very disrespectful. I don't think it's something that anyone should really engage in. Because when you go into a haunted location, you're going into that spirit's home or wherever place that they're residing. And in all of the investigations that I've been on, most of them were group events. Um, I've noticed the more people you have, the less evidence you get because ghosts don't like to perform. So if you have a small group, it's probably easier to get evidence. But all of these TV shows and these YouTubers, they're trying to get evidence for entertainment value, and so them provoking the ghost is for entertainment value. And I just don't think that anyone should do that. That's very disrespectful. And honestly, I think it's just going to give you negative results in return because you're going to probably bring something home with you because you were mean to them.
Right? Right. I really, really enjoyed the Dead Files, because of Amy Allen's absolute, like, mother protection energy towards the spirits that they were talking to, and she kind of always approached with,
Hmm.
"I'm opening myself up to be communicated with, but I'm not going to hunt you down and try to corner you and force a conversation with a spirit that's residing there," and I appreciated that. I just had wondered why we had shifted into this aggressive, and I think it's because of the theatrical quality of someone in a room shouting at spirits to show themselves, and I just imagine someone walking into my house and doing that and how irritated I would be.
Hmm. Yeah,
Have
and
you
of course
ever
you would.
have you ever communicated with any spirit that has kind of alluded to being irritated with that?
I can't say that I have. Um, because now that I'm open to my gifts, I haven't done any paranormal investigations. Um,
Oh.
so this was all like while I was like learning that I had gifts that I was doing all this. I was like so fascinated. And before I had kids, now that I've got kids, it's hard to find people to watch them so we can do things like that at night. Because of course, everyone does it at night, um, even during the day. But it's just been a lot more difficult to do things right now.
I totally understand that, but that being said, I would love to, be on a walk with you around the square while you're open and just be able to pick your brain and go, "Hey, which places are really calling out to you?" Because I think that would be fascinating.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. I have talked with friends before about, like, going into the antique stores on the square and just, like, seeing if any objects are drawn to us or whatever, and we've just never made that happen, so that would be cool to do that.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Uh, have you ever visited, Acker Park Cemetery?
That's the Oddfellows Cemetery, isn't it?
I
I'm
think
pretty
you
sure.
know what? I think you're right. I Acker Park is the Oddfellows. Okay, because that cemetery in particular has always just given vibe. That's all I can
Mhm.
say. It's just like big activity vibes. That's
Yeah,
off of Virginia, right?
yes, I believe so. Um,
Okay.
I did tell the story before where we did go to that cemetery, so I have been there, but it's been a while. I'd love to go back. I'd love to do all the check out all the haunted places again. I just, like I said, need to have a time where I can go where there's someone watching my kids.
It's hard to make time for it, and even, it in this day, we're so busy, and that stuff gets put on the back burner, but I've seen that I was checking out your Instagram, stalking you on Instagram, and I was noticing that you do a lot of card pullings for the day. Is that
Mhm.
your favorite form of connecting?
It is. It's definitely something that I've learned, and I've actually been reading tarot since I was 16 or 17. Um, I got into it because a friend, the same friend who got me into Wicca and witchcraft, had a deck herself, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool, Mom! I want a deck." So for Christmas, my mom got me a deck of tarot cards, which was so cool. And again, when I went to college, that got put away with all the rest of the stuff, and didn't come back out until I was in my 30s.
Do you remember, what your first deck of tarot cards was, the theme of it?
It was actually the original Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and I still have it to this day. Um, yeah.
That's awesome. My first deck was, oracle cards that my mom gave me, and they were all there was, like, different angels. I remember there was the unicorn card, and then there was also a corner of them taken off because one of our dogs had chewed through the corner of the card. They were very specific.
Oh my goodness.
Are your guides leading you to talk about any specific parts of your journey?
When I met my spirit guides, I was in this Wicked Morning group that was here for a little while. And this one lady, we did tarot readings together, and she was like asking for her guides to help and everything. And I thought, oh, wow, that'd be really cool. I want to meet my spirit guides. So I went home and I got out a notebook and I just said, okay, how many spirit guides do I have? And I just wrote down whatever came in mind. And I said, okay, what are your names? And I wrote down all the names. And then I did a guided meditation that I found on YouTube, and I remember what it is now. Um, where you can meet your guides, and so each guide showed me what they looked like, and they told me, like, what they helped me with, and from that group, I think there was 5 of them, only 1 is still with me. His name is Peter, and, when I took some other classes in spirit communication and past lives, he was with me one day and showed me a past life where we were actually partners. We were gypsies in a gypsy caravan, and I did tarot readings, and I don't remember what exactly he did, but that's what we were in that life. And so a few years later, he came to me again and he showed me that in that life I died in childbirth. And the thing that happened, the baby was coming out back of the head first instead of face first and had her arm on the back of her head, which is funny because my daughter did that in this life and stopped herself from coming out of the birth canal, and we had to do a C-section to get her out because every time I had a contraction, her heart rate dropped. So in this life, I survived this, but in that life, I I died in childbirth. So they wanted me to express that story.
I think it's so amazing, and it takes me to the and I don't know about your beliefs or understandings, but, um, repeating lives until we can get through certain things in each life, lessons that need to be learned or
Mhm,
obstacles that need to be overcome, and that is super validating to that for me is knowing that you had something that took your life in another life that you ended up, getting through in this life. So
mhm.
that's pretty amazing. Is that because you said you do past life regressions with people?
I don't necessarily do past life regressions, but I can see past lives.
Okay.
So I don't know, I guess maybe that's the same thing, I'm not sure. Um,
So when you've
but a lot of
seen
people
past
don't.
lives with other people I'm sorry.
Mhm. I was just gonna say, a lot of people that I read for don't ask for past lives, so I don't do it very often, but I can do it.
I find that super fascinating, so I would love for you to tell me more about past lives and anything you've picked up on with that because, what I just brought up with the, validation of, like, having something happen to you in a past life and then again in this life, have you seen that with people when you're reading that?
I actually have kind of, one person did ask me about a past life, and what I saw was her in like a laboratory and a lot of energy moving around, kind of like a laboratory that Nikola Tesla would have been in. And she said, "Wow, that's so cool because I'm really like learning and growing into something kind of like that." And so it's something that she's doing now in her life. And
Oh,
I asked
wow.
her to keep me updated, but I haven't heard anything, so I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, I did see that as a past life, and then she's doing it again now. So
That's amazing. That is so cool. I can't imagine. Now I'm having steampunk dreams of Nikola Tesla and the moving energy. That's awesome. I have longed to do a past life regression. My mom and I have a debate going on about a past life of mine, and we have looked into and this is all on a bet of me doing a past life regression to see if this pops up because she bet something about my past life, and I don't think she's right. So we're gonna have to do this past life regression to settle this bet.
Well, that's cool.
So you are going to be at the witches market. I saw your name come across, and you are booked there. Do you want to tell people what you'll be doing at the witches market and where to follow along with you?
So I will be offering tarot readings. I will be offering mediumship readings and past life readings, whatever spirit wants me to relay when you sit down with me. Um, I am on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Kind of taking a pause from YouTube right now, but hopefully getting back up there again. Um, just trying to manage my life and all the things that I have to do. So being on multiple platforms is kind of draining sometimes.
Oh my gosh,
But
yeah.
yeah, I'm on multiple platforms, and you can follow along there. I am at Earth and Herbs Arizona every month. There's n- every as time goes on, there are more and more events popping up. And I'm gonna try to go to whatever I can.
And it's at Lavender Moon LLC?
At Lavender Moon Psychic is
At
the
Lavender Moon
Instagram and
Psychic.
TikTok, and then on Facebook it's Lavender Moon Psychic LLC.
Awesome. Lavender, it's been absolutely awesome to talk to you today. And please, if you think of more stories to share, or you are guided to do so, or you have a memory of a paranormal investigation that you've done, please contact me because I would love to talk to you again. This has been an absolute blast.
Oh, absolutely! I've loved this as well. This is amazing.
Thank you. Love and light to you all, and thanks for tuning in.